Yeah, and I said every dude ski has his tea. Oh, yeah. What's up, my dudes? We on a Classico today, boys. Classico. Oh my god, popping off like it's MXGP Pro out here. Appreciate you guys tuning in to another stream. Yes, I'm aware that MX Bikes Beta 15 is out. Okay, I will have a video coming out on that tomorrow. Pronto ASAP Rocky, don't you worry about that. I didn't really want to stream it today because I haven't got in there and looked at all the new stuff with the Beta 15, and I didn't know what all it was going to change with the game, so that's going to be a little bit of a process in itself to see what all it's actually changed and going in there and making a video on that, right? So, but I will be uploading that tomorrow on Beta 15. Then we'll be streaming on Beta 15. So, but thought it'd be fun to come in here and play some old school, bro. I'm really liking being able to go back to these classic games in combination with playing the new motocross games. That's a pretty cool little... Let me pop off another 69,000 times here. Oh my god. These desert dunes ain't no joke, bro. They ain't no joke. So this game's got a tricky little whip system to it. You kind of got to know what you're doing here. And I said every dude ski drinks his tea. Oh yeah. What's up, boys? I appreciate you tuning in to another stream. We're just out here taking it back to, 2005? When Ricky had the perfect season on the Honda in 2005, right? A lot of you boys probably weren't even born yet. Yikes. That's a little yikes. No big deal. Got a little Nickelback on the soundtrack here. No big deal. So we just did a stream on MX Unleashed, right? Which is obviously a completely different game than this. So it went MX Unleashed in 2004 to MX versus ATV Unleashed in 2005. So this was technically the first actual MX versus ATV game where it was actually, the name combined, right? I have something in my eye. Hang on just a second. I think I whipped it too hard in the sand. Whipped up some sand in my eye real quick. Hang on. It happens on Glamis. No big deal. No big deal for the Spency boy. Come on now. No biggie. So, it's interesting to see the improvements that they made from just the standard MX Unleashed to when it actually went to MX versus ATV Unleashed, right? Find that to be pretty interesting how the whip system kind of advanced a little bit. The track designs advanced. This is when they started getting into the actual where you could go in there and ride on a free ride track dedicated to free ride. It was literally called free ride in a menu. Whereas with just the MX Unleashed, you had to go in there and ride on the freestyle to even get to the free ride map, right? So kind of had to jump through some hoops in a little bit of a sense there. But this game has a lot of cool stuff, man. Let's go check it out. So they've got hill climb in this game. They've obviously got motocross, supercross, freestyle, free ride. There is so many tracks in this game. It's insane. This is probably the most content they have ever had in a default, base version of a arcade motocross game ever before. Literally ever. So, look at this though. You just go into racing instead of freestyle and free ride, right? And then you go into another menu, which is a completely different menu. It's just holy crap, man. Holy crap. Let's try out this hill climb shit here. So, some of this, I guess you got to actually play through this. Look at this. They don't just have one hill climb on each individual map. There's multiple different hill climbs. Holy shit. Damn, I was going to go down to 69%. I thought I was going to be able to do that. I guess let's just keep it on 80 because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Single play practice. Let's go single play opponents 5. Okay, some random ass settings here. Let's do a little all the way up the hill. MX bikes only. Yeah, you can hill climb on an ATV in this game, apparently. So not only all that track content in this game, but then they had airplanes, monster trucks, obviously MX and ATV. I mean, this shit was unheard of back in these days. To have this much content in one game. I feel like those years between 2005 to like 2007 was probably the most content games we will ever get. Like if you guys remember Mortal Kombat Armageddon, that came out right around that time period, had like literally had like 100 different fighters in it, right? So it wasn't just the MX versus ATV series. I mean, there was a shitload of games that had just a next level amount of content on them back in these days specifically. Okay, I'm out here jumping this shit like it's a motocross track. I need to calm down. Okay, I just got my ass absolutely handed to me. Let's go to the next hill here. Got to climb that hill, boys. What's up, boys? Just tuning in. We're Big T sipping, big hill climbing. No big deal. So it's interesting. You actually race up the hill side by side. Oh my God. What? Oh no. What the hell is this? Now I see why some of these free ride tracks have so many of these big hill climb areas, because it's literally a hill climb like series on it. Maybe I need to be clutching it a little. Maybe that's the trick to this shit. Oh my God. Lean backwards. Well, yeah, I kind of was, but I didn't want to instantaneously do a 360 no-scope backflip, so I'm trying to be a little careful on that. Yeah, that clutch is big, daddy. That clutch is big, daddy, on the start. Clutch is big, daddy. Okay, we got second. Okay. These are like super short hills. Kind of funny how they made a whole racing series out of this. Yeah, lean back and clutch. Yeah, seems about right. Seems about right. Oh my God, we're already absolute hill climb legend. We don't even need T anymore. Oh my God, look at this shit. Spency Boy the legend out here. Just kidding, they're actually on the easiest difficulty you can put them on right now, I believe. They're on like difficulty 80%. So, God, that's crazy how they made an entire series out of such a like little side thing in the game. You know what I mean? I just find that to be so funny how they were able to do that. And it's not like it adds a bunch of different extra gameplay to the game or whatever, but just the fact that it's in there is cool, you know? Just the fact that there is a hill climb raceable thing in the game is cool. So I feel like they're missing a lot of this stuff nowadays in modern day, modern day motocross games. Even if they don't want to have an entire series, and like really flesh it out and all that shit, they need to have some enduro racing in these, milestone games. They need to have some, some hill climb racing or some whatever, enduro cross racing series. They need that other little extra side thing other than just the main racing series of the game, so that you have that little silly thing to go play for fun on the side, That is something that has just been so missing in the milestone games specifically. It's literally just like, here's your replica tracks, and that's it, right? I mean, for the longest time, they didn't even really have much of a free ride element to their games, and then now they're kind of starting to get that a little more, right? So we'll see how they develop that, but God, I really was expecting these hills to be a little more like extensive. It's kind of funny how you just like instantly get to the top of the hill. Kind of crazy, dude. So there's actually supermoto in this game as well, but you have to unlock it, which is kind of funny. So it's not just, you know, unlocked from the start. Yeah, I know about the too lazy cheat, bruh. Trust me, bruh. Cheat Planet. I was literally putting in cheats like back in the days when you would have actually put that in from Cheat Planet before the internet was even really anything. Yeah, trust me, dog. These are back in the days where you literally had a where is that actually at? Is it in options? Yeah, you literally had a area in the menu of the game to put cheat codes in. Shit cracks me up, dog. It's like, good Lord. They literally had a spot for you to put it in. Like, so they had Waypoint. Okay, so this was kind of like their trail vibe thing to the game. Interesting. We'll put it on a Hyundai. Oh my God, you go up to 125%. Oh, wow. Yeah, Moto Mika, I'll be back on with the Dudeskis pronto ASAP Rocky. I'm actually in the process of buying a real-life house right now, so a little on the busy side. But yes, I will be getting back on MX Bikes Beta 15 ASAP, boys. ASAP. We don't need 5 laps, like 3 laps. Yeah, there we go. I will be back on with the Dudeskis in the voice chat very soon. And I will be streaming MX Bikes Beta 15 very soon. I'm going to have a video coming out on that tomorrow, and then I'll be streaming it like the day after that. So we'll be getting into MX Bikes Beta 15. I took a little glance at the patch notes of it, so I haven't really looked, you know, super deep into it, but I didn't want to try to hop in here and do a stream on Beta 15 when I don't really know all of the changes to it. I need to get in there and kind of play with it a little bit before I do that. Thoughts on Jett Lawrence? Yeah, I kind of thought he might have gotten into the pro racing just a hair too prematurely there at the start, right? Like, I thought he was going to get hurt really bad you know, when he was doing really good in some of those Supercross races. I was really concerned about it. Because, I mean, just come on now. When you're 16 and you're on that big of a stage, like, you'll risk everything. I mean, everything. You'll overjump a quad into the stadium and literally break your neck to win a main event at that age. So it's pretty dangerous. I was actually really concerned. I'm glad all he had was that collarbone injury or whatever that was at that point in time. I was actually really happy that he didn't get hurt worse than that, but now he's starting to kind of get himself around now. It's getting himself a little more consistent, not so riding so, you know, just like you would when you're 16. You know what I mean? He's kind of starting to get a little poise to him now. So by the time he's like 17 or 18, the time you should be starting to pro race in Supercross, he'll be getting it all together, you know. But I just think they should have it to where you got to be 18 before you can pro race in Supercross or Motocross. Not because they're like not capable yet. There's a lot of fast dudes in the amateur class right now as we speak that could probably go out there and podium in a pro Supercross race. It's not to say they couldn't do it. I look at it as kind of like a danger factor when you let somebody in when they're not 18 yet. It's almost like a danger factor to me. And there for the longest time, it seemed like you did have to be 18 to pro race in Supercross, which was weird. Oh my God, this Waypoint track right here, this ain't no enduro. This is like a super jump, mecha jump. This is pretty hardcore right here. So, yeah, there for the longest time, it seemed like I thought you had to be 18 to pro race. But I guess they've kind of loosened up the restrictions to that a little bit. So I did thought it was kind of funny, the whole him talking about Justin Cooper and the dog on the podium. Oh. I thought that was all a little funny. You know, the donut on the podium boy talking about somebody bringing their dog on the podium. That was a little bit of irony to that whole situation, but And, of course, Justin Cooper hopped on that real quick. But, yeah, I don't have anything against the kid. It's not like I don't like the kid or whatever. He's definitely quick. There ain't no doubt about it. But now with the Geico FC Honda team shutting down, be interesting. I've heard he's going to basically like the 450 Honda team is going to have like a 250 program for 2 guys on it now. That's kind of what I heard, but I don't really know exactly. So hopefully a lot of them boys can still get rides and stuff like, Joe Shimoda, Carson Mumford. It's going to be tough for those guys, no doubt. Oh, shit. No doubt, boys. We back taking it old school, and I said every dude ski has his tea. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Spency Boy's endless with the shit. Oof. Oh, shit. Look at this, dude. This is almost like a damn... It's kind of like a free ride racetrack is what I would call this, more than just like a standard, enduro waypoint track. Maybe some of the enduro or some of the other waypoint tracks in this game feel a little more like an enduro track. I know they do on Untamed. They feel a little more like an enduro, but this right here is like, this is about the furthest thing from an enduro track, you know what I mean? Sup, MLG? Back at it again. We'll be back on MX Bikes pronto ASAP, Rocky. Don't you worry about that. So Beta 15 is out. I took a little glance at the patch notes. I didn't see anything like super different. A lot of it was just kind of like menu things and pitboard upgrades and things of that nature. Some graphical stuff. I didn't see anything too crazy with the physics or anything like that. So... but I am going to be making a video on that after this stream, kind of going in there and talking about the patch notes on that, and then uploading that video tomorrow, and then I will be obviously streaming MX Bikes Beta 15 tomorrow or the next day, right? So then we'll be on that. Nice little double right here. It's kind of cool. So this was interesting in these days because this is kind of when they started adding the actual... at least some kind of skill gap to the MX versus ATV series, because all the games before this weren't even MX versus ATV. First of all, it kind of started off Motocross Madness, and it went to MX Unleashed. Then it, obviously all them ATV games were out and stuff. But then when it came to this is when they finally started. I overjumped the shit out of that. Oh, how did I just land that? Oh my god. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing about anytime they add anytime they add a MX Bikes beta update, it changes the way the OEM bike pack works in it. So hopefully there's not any issues with that. I'm not sure if anybody has, ran into anything like that yet, but... Okay, I was in the middle of an actual championship here on the Supercross series, unlocking some of these Supercross tracks just for the fun of it. Yes, I know, too lazy, got it. But I actually like to play through these games. It's kind of fun when you haven't done that in like a decade and a half. It's kind of fun to go in here and, actually play through these games again. Oh, we got the T-Vibes on deck. Oh, my God. Boys, I appreciate you tuning in to another stream. We're just chilling today. These are the perfect... Look how cool this little track is. See, that's what was so cool. It's like you had these kind of more outdoor style supercross tracks, not so like replicated indoor in stadium. They had quite a bit of variation even back in these days with the different kind of track designs and stuff. So that was pretty cool about the game. Yeah, that clutch definitely gets you ripping and snorting off of that start line. There ain't no doubt about that. But this is where they start getting a little more skill gap to the leaning, seat bouncing. You know, this game is not super different from MX Unleashed, but it is different enough. I mean, you can tell going from MX Unleashed to MX versus ATV Unleashed, it's kind of just like a better MX Unleashed, basically. That's what this game is. It's just better in every way, right? And interestingly enough, this game didn't even have... Oh my God, we just bopped that guy. Batarang out here. Interestingly enough, this game didn't even have, like, bike tuning and, you know, buying exhaust and buying parts for the bike, you know. None of that stuff came until, well, buying the parts for the bike didn't really, I guess that all kind of got introduced in Untamed, and then obviously really got advanced in Reflex, but there wasn't hardly any of that kind of stuff in this game. This really was the first bare bones MX versus ATV game they ever had, so it's kind of crazy it was still such a legendary, amazing game, even though it didn't have any of those kind of gameplay elements. I found that to be really interesting how it, you know, whenever I thought back to this, I remembered these games having bike tuning and, you know, buying parts for the bike, but I guess it never really was like that. Kind of remember that a little bit wrong in my head. So it is interesting how, you know, Reflex really was the pinnacle of bike customization, bike tuning, terrain deformation. You know, they didn't have any of that back in these days. So this is kind of like Motocross Madness on steroids, and then Reflex is like MX versus ATV Unleashed on steroids. And MX versus ATV Untamed was kind of like the weird in-between transitional game. But I actually enjoy this game more than Untamed, even though it's a little more outdated and things like that. But you know, it's a little bit older of a game, doesn't have the bike tuning, all that stuff like I was saying, but I still enjoy this game. I feel like this game's just more legendary than Untamed. You know what I mean? I mean, you could consider this game like for their time, even though Reflex was ahead of its time. This shit was legendary for its time. Like, I can't say anything negative about this game when you consider it for its time. It was amazing. Okay, so let me put it to you. It's like this, right? MX versus ATV Unleashed was the best motocross game for its time, whereas Reflex was the best motocross game ahead of its time. That's kind of the way I would word that, you know? Reflex was just straight up ahead of its time. There was no doubt about that. But this game was like the most amazing for its time type game, you know what I mean? So, it's kind of crazy how you can go back to these days. I've made videos and stuff, but like, there's elements of this game, physics of this game, elements to the physics of this game that actually feel looser / better / more developed than some of those milestone games. I shit you not. And this game came out 15 years ago. So it's kind of funny that you can go all the way back to these days, and there's some aspects of the milestone games, obviously not the graphics, right? But there's some aspects to some of those milestone games that are not even on the level of a game that came out in 2005. It's insane when you start to realize that about it. But yeah, this track's pretty vibing, dude. I like this right here. You got to be careful not overjump that too much. I feel like the track designs in combination with the seat bounce button sort of made this challenging enough to the point to where some jumps you wanted to seat bounce like medium, some jumps you wanted to seat bounce all the way, some jumps you didn't want to seat bounce at all, some jumps, you know, depending how far you went inside was going to change how much you needed to seat bounce, so then it kind of, you know, added that layer of skill gap, that extra layer of skill gap that wasn't really there with the original just MX Unleashed. You know what I mean? They kind of No, this is not with mods. I'm literally playing this game on an Xbox 360, bruh. Literally old school vibing out here, dude. Old school vibing. Yeah, I mean, MX Unleashed itself was legendary, don't get me wrong, but this game was just MX Unleashed and more. You know what I mean? It was just a... What's up, Jerry? It was just a... Yeah, PS2, dude. I remember getting a PS2 for Christmas. This is how much you boys are probably younger than me. Okay, I remember I was getting a PS2 for Christmas, like chilling, and there's my new PS2. You know what I mean? When the shits like very first came out, dog. And I remember playing a PlayStation 1 back when it was like the thing. You know what I mean? When there was no PS2, it was just PlayStation 1. That was the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. I remember playing that, right? You had shit like Frogger, all kinds of crazy-ass games on that. Need for Speed, like fucking the old-school Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. Like, I'm telling you, bro, I've been playing games for a minute now, dude. What's up, Drew? What's up, dog? So it cracks me up when some of these dudes, like their first motocross game or their first real games, like, you know, MX versus ATV Live or some shit. It's kind of funny. Just like two completely different, you know, time frames. And I played, you know, that was also back in the day when renting video games from an actual store was a big thing. You know, like it's not so much that way now, but back in these days, like that's what you did on the weekend. You went and, you know, your parents went and rented a movie and you went and rented a video game, walk in a store and rent it. I'm not talking about Redbox. I'm not talking about Netflix. I'm not talking about all that shit, right? I'm talking about literally go in a store and rent the shit. Like, that was a big market back in those days. That was a big thing. So there's so many games that I have rented and played in that like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, original Xbox, Xbox 360 era. So many games that I've played like that I just rented and played for, you know, 2 or 3 days and never really played it again. So I've played all kinds of those little more like not so mainstream motocross games, not so mainstream, you know, car racing games and this, that, and another. But I just don't have them now because that was back in the days where you rented games, right? That was a whole vibe back in those days. That used to be so much fun, dude. Like just going in there and seeing all the new different games and stuff and which one are you going to rent this weekend, you know? That was really cool. Times have changed, bro. Times have changed. It is not like that anymore. Hell, it's getting to the point now where you're about to be to the point where you're not even going in and buying anything from a store anymore. Certainly not video games. I mean, GameStop's pretty much shit in the bed now. You know, Game Exchange and things like that, or some of those might stick around just for the, like, people trying to buy retro games, but as far as, like, going in there and renting a new game or buying a new game from a store, that's pretty much over with now. I mean, I prefer a game disc, but, like, and you can see it with the new consoles that are coming out. They have versions of them that don't even have a disc drive to it, you know? They don't even have a place where you can put a disc in it. So it will be to the point to where whatever the next console is, there won't even be an option to buy one that can accept a disc. It'll be 100% like Steam, where you basically buy all the games online and you got to be connected to the internet to play it, and they're going to control the entire gaming market like that, right? And you won't be able to, like, go over here and play your game on your friend. You won't be able to, like, take your game disc and put it in your buddy's console and play it over here. You're not going to be able to do any of that kind of shit. Xbox kind of tried to do that when they first was coming out with the Xbox One, and that pretty much epically failed. So, but I'm just saying that is certainly the way it's going. yeah, I'm going to get a bunch more of these old school motocross games. Like, I know some of you guys talked about MX Superfly, Jeremy McGrath. There's some Ricky Carmichael games in there. I'm gonna put some investment into a few of these older games so we can do some fun streams on them. Just letting you know, that's where super chat, donation, membership money goes towards. It's stuff like that. Literally goes right back into my YouTube channel. So just letting you know, every single dollar I have ever made off of YouTube or donations or anything goes right back into it. So just letting you know on that, anybody that sends super chats or becomes members of the channel and things, you are literally putting it back into the channel. So, okay. See what we got here. What's up, Jordan Belford? What's up, dog? Back in the days when you saved it on the old hard drive. Dude, I still remember when you had, like, those little PlayStation 2 little mini hard drives. You had to have that to save your game. You couldn't just save it on the console. You had to have those little, like, red and blue little things you shoved into the console to save your game. You know? Yeah, memory card. There you go. God, it's been so long. Oh, man. It has been so long since those days. Holy shit. The old PS2 memory card. And the PlayStation 1s also had that as well, but it became a bigger deal. And then the original Xbox, what they were trying to kind of sell that as was you didn't need a memory card, right? You could basically just save it on the actual console itself. So that was a interesting little thing they tried to sell, sell that original Xbox. Dude, you remember all that shit on that original Xbox where it was like you could like save your music to it and then like play it as a soundtrack on the damn... Oh my god. That was a whole vibe. That was a whole vibe. And then it was like the games had like integration to be able to play your original Xbox soundtrack playlist while you're playing the game. This was all like before you had, your iPods and iPhones and stuff that you could listen to music while you're playing a game, like portably like that. It was all before any of that. So it's interesting how they created basically a necessity to have it built into the console, but then it became pointless when you started to get all the iPods and the iPhones, right? A lot of you boys probably don't even remember when it was just an iPod. There was no iPhones, just an iPod, bro. That was a whole vibe back in those days too. Thought you were like a big hoss when you had like a gig on the shit, literally 1 gig. Okay. Doing okay on the stream here. Got about 60 dudes in the chat there at one point in time. Pretty solid, boys. Dude in there trying to troll. Oh, man. He's lying, bro. He's just lying. He's just lying about everything. He's just lying, dude. Yeah, I hit one button and you gone there, brother. One button. Sup, boys. We back in the old school days. Taking it back 15 years ago. Holy shit. Man, it's a weird... Time is a weird thing. It's an interesting thing. Because nostalgia and... I don't know. It's a whole thing, dude. Oh my god. They certainly weren't scared to put some Big Daddy Fatty Tea-sipping jumps in this game, though. Holy shit. They were not scared at all to do that. And it's interesting because Untamed certainly was a more advanced game than this, but I just don't necessarily think it didn't have as much of an impact as this game had. It wasn't quite as memorable as this game. I just feel like MX vs. ATV Unleashed just had a little more overall impact. They are slaying my ass. I just feel like Unleashed had a little more overall impact than Untamed had. But I still like both of them. I mean, they're still both pretty legendary games. I just feel like this one, these days, is really what people think back to when they think back to the OG MX vs. ATV days, right? Like I say, this is technically the first MX versus ATV game where they actually combined the games together, so and for the way this game was, to have a game like this back in 05, I mean, this shit was awesome. This was like right on point, you know? There wasn't nothing about... Nowadays, when you go back and look at this, yeah, you're going to be like, oh, well, the whips are kind of... You can't really throw them as far, and there's no terrain deformation, and there's not a lot of inside ruts, and you laser line everywhere, and all this shit. But back in those days, it wasn't like that. Back in those days, this shit was like the Taj Mahal. You know, this was awesome back in those days. So that's what I mean by Unleashed being amazing for its time, you know. And when you go back and look at it now, yeah, you can see the outdated elements of it, but still, for its time, it was amazing. Whereas like Reflex, 10 years later, you can go back and look at that, and it's still amazing 10 years later. So it was ahead of its time by a decade. That's what makes Reflex so amazing, you know? I mean, there's no doubt about it. When you look back at the advancements they made from MX Unleashed, MX vs. ATV Unleashed, then to Untamed, then to Reflex, they did all that in like a 5-year time span, okay? There is no doubt about it that they have went downhill in motocross gaming advancements ever since Reflex. There's no doubt. They have not even come close to having that same sort of, you know, advancement to the physics and feeling of the bike. I guess you could say like motocross simulators kind of did that in a way, which is interesting now that I think about that. But it's as if these simulators like MX Sim and Reflex, MX Sim and MX Bikes, yeah, Reflex is not a sim, Spency boy. You know, Sim and MX Bikes, it's as if they have kind of become the next level advancement in these motocross gaming, you know, physics and gameplay elements and stuff versus the actual arcade motocross games feeling advanced in like the next level in the next stage, right? Seems as if the simulators have kind of filled that void versus the arcade motocross games. Obviously, we're getting better graphics with every new arcade motocross game, but I'm not talking about graphics. I'm talking about the actual physics, filling on the bike, advancements, you know, how Reflex go into the dual stick control and, you know, advancing all that stuff and the terrain deformation and everything like that. I feel like most games since then just haven't really done that. Oh my God, you always got to take a sip of that tea on the start line, boys. It's more important than taking off on the start. Just letting you know. Be sure and always sip that tea on the start line, guys. This was back in the days when they weren't scared to put like a split lane area, and they had the LA Coliseum on this game. You know, they just weren't scared to do things. They weren't scared to try different things and different crazy biomes and Northern Lights tracks and, you know, Dinosaur Park tracks and all this kind of shit. They weren't scared. They were... You gotta giving applause to these guys that were working on these games back in the day. I mean, I'm kind of surprised you didn't have like some sort of moon free ride track back in these days. I mean, we talk about it now because the Spency Boy, Galaxy Boy, Space Boy making space tracks on MXM, but it really wouldn't have surprised me to have seen a moon track back in these days, you know, with how you know, creative and unique and not scared to do things that they really were. And it's like nowadays, it's like they're too scared to put something like that in a game because they think it's going to make the game seem like super unrealistic, or, you know, they've definitely gotten way too into this, trying to make everything too realistic, trying to make everything too one-to-one scaled, and they're killing so much of that fun gameplay element that you used to have back in these days. They're definitely killing a certain element of that now. So that is a little unfortunate, but so they did have a gas and brake gyro option back in these days, which was interesting. I actually have the gas gyro turned off, but I have the brake gyro turned on. So I feel like you can whip better when you have it set up like that, because if you have the gas gyro on, it seems like a lot of times your whips don't really like flow over properly because your front end's just going to come up when you're holding the gas in the air. So you definitely still can throw whips with the gas gyro on, but I just feel like you can throw them a little better with it off. But obviously you want the brake gyro on so you can kind of hit the brakes and make the whip kind of follow through a little more, right? I just can't believe. Just think. It was 4 years from this game to Reflex. 4 fucking years, bro. 4. So I don't want to hear any of these excuses that, oh, well, Milestone's just starting off and they're just trying to get their shit going, and that would be like going from MXGP 3, when the hell did that come out? Like 2016, I think. So that was about the same, like 4 years ago. Be like going from MXGP 3 to like Reflex in that 4-year time span. And they certainly have not done that. So, you know, it's to the point now with Milestone. Milestone has been doing these motocross games long enough now. Now you are starting to expect that more advanced physics system. You are starting to expect these more, you know, advanced systems and physics on the bike and track content and terrain deformation, and that's why people are getting so frustrated with Milestone nowadays. That's why, I mean, just look at what they did in this in 4 years. It's crazy. It is crazy. I like this little rhythm right here. Nice little, like, quad triple. Big old berms. Spency Boy getting a little too courageous. Spency Boy getting a little too wild out here. But, like, you could just play these games for days, dude. I mean, come on now. And they're going to be fun forever. That's the thing about these games. MX Unleashed, MX vs. ATV Unleashed, Untamed, Reflex, even Alive to a certain extent. Games are going to be fun forever. You go back and play any of these games 20 years from now and they're still going to be fun. They are the definition of classic, legendary, whatever you want to call it, you know. But I really don't see myself going back and playing Monster Energy Supercross 2, the official video game, in even like 5 years from now or 10 years from now. I don't see it, bro. I really don't. I don't see myself going back and playing MXGP Pro 20 years from now. Pretty sure we will have totally forgotten about those games. Completely. I mean, you might kind of remember the first Monster Energy Supercross game a little bit at that point in time, but you're not going to be like, oh, yeah, let's go play that Milestone, you know, dirt bike game. Oh, yeah. Like, dog, it ain't even going to be like that. I'm just telling you. Hate to break it to you, but it ain't even going to be like that. What's up, boys? Just tuning in. I am looking at chat. I'm just reminiscing these good old days right now. I get kind of caught up in a nostalgic trance when I'm playing these games, so you got to bear with me a little bit. I literally get totally caught up in it. Short track? What the hell is this? Short track? Not exactly sure what that is. Okay, let's do another one of these waypoints. That was pretty cool. Pretty cool on that one track. Redwood Valley. Woo! They had some vibes back in these days. All right, let's ramp this difficulty up to like 100. Okay. Okay. Yeah. MXGP Pro and MXGP 2019, I swear to God, will go down in history as the worst milestone games ever. And I said it back when they came out. It cracked me up at all those YouTubers that were going in here and making their reviews on MXGP Pro and MXGP 2019, acting like there wasn't really anything wrong. You know, good job, Milestone. Just keep doing you, baby. Just keep doing you, right? And it's funny because we're going to look back on both of those games, and they will be considered the worst milestone games ever. Period. Period. MXGP Pro is the definition of jank, and MXGP 2019 is the definition of boring. Okay? So, that's all there is to that. MXGP 2019 is the most boring modern-day AAA motocross game I have ever played. It is so boring. I mean, there is just... It's not like it's just this super terrible game or whatever. It's just so boring and so bland and so... just nothing really to the game, you know? Whereas like MXGP Pro wasn't necessarily a super boring game, but it just got so janky with all the different gameplay elements to it, with the popping off everywhere and the, you know, the shit like that. The sliding out instantly and falling over, you know, it had a couple little things to the physics of it. So that's just kind of the way it is. We got a cutie in the chat, huh? Got a little cutie in the chat. No big deal. We'll get him out of here. No big deal. No biggie. No biggie. He's like, why? Why should I stop spamming? Why? Why should I stop doing that? I don't even know why I should stop doing that. Oh, wow. I think that kid needs to go do his homework or something. You know what I'm saying? He's go do his homework or something, bruh. Dude, these little waypoint tracks are pretty badass. I like this. Okay. Okay, this fancy boy just hanging out on the mountainside. So, I guess you can technically hit these waypoints either direction. Interesting. Stewart Jr.? What? They literally had James Stewart Jr. as the name in this game? That's a little comical. That's kind of badass. That's kind of cool. I like that. Oh, shit. About the only game I think they would ever have had an actual James Stewart Jr. name in it. Pretty cool. Okay. Okay, okay. Oh my God, the Spency boy, the legend. Riding a wheelie, no squilly. I feel like you can ride wheelies a little bit better in this game than you can just the standard MX Unleashed. 72 dudes in the chat. What's up, boys? We out here reliving the good old PS2 days. Oh, shit. So it was cool how there still was a little bit of a... Like I'm saying, there's a little bit of skill to this game with the... How much you're leaning back when you land. It can kind of... make you not pop off as much on a super overjump flat landing. You know, there is a little bit of that to this game, which is really interesting. This is really where they kind of started getting more of that actual arcade motocross game skill gap to the game. So that's pretty cool. If you're wondering why I'm in dead last, I was looking at chat and like laying on the side of a hill for like 25 seconds. But, yeah, it's all good. I'm just trying to ride around these tracks. I'm not even really trying to race right now. I'm just trying to see what some of these free Waypoint tracks. There's a new racing series coming out in the next MX versus ATV game. Free Waypoint series. This really kind of is like freestyle Waypoint, pretty much. It's kind of like what this is. Really cool track, though. And that was the cool thing. Every single track in this game, whether it was motocross, supercross, freestyle, whatever, you know, you had a big free ride track within it to go explore. Every single one of them had that to it. So that was a really cool aspect to it. Good old McGrath and Wyndham. Just some legends. You know. The old seat bounce button. Gotta love the, there ain't no telling how many thumbsticks got completely snapped off back in these days. And it's funny because I remember that feeling like a very advanced physics, like, mechanic back in the day. Having a seat bounce button, it was like, holy shit, that's so advanced, dude. Right? Back in the day, it really was like that. Like the way you would look at, you know, Reflex's dual stick control when that first came out, that's kind of how you looked at the seat bouncing in these games. It was a big, like, advanced, you know, feature to motocross games. So, kind of funny how we look back on it now and snap seat bounce button is kind of like a outdated thing now, you know? It's kind of funny. Okay, that's about it on this track. Man, these free ride, I mean, these Waypoint tracks are no joke, dude. Yeah, so I've kind of took a little bit of a break from MXM. I've still been working on custom tracks on MXM. Almost on a daily basis, off stream and off videos. So even though I'm not making a bunch of videos on it, I'm still playing MXM, like in single player and making some more custom tracks and stuff. But yeah, I will be getting back to making some more MXM content soon. I've just kind of been working on some custom tracks and having fun in single player. I'm kind of waiting on them to get their shit together with all the hacks and the key sharing and I'm just waiting on that to see what happens with all that, you know, because it's getting to a level in MXM now where it's just like, oh my God. They have anti-gravity hacks in the game now. Literally lower gravity hacks where you can just skim over a whoop section. I mean, they're getting to the point where they're almost like able to basically tweak upon the physics, hack the physics of MX Simulator, not just like a, you know, acceleration hack or a don't fall off as much hack or whatever, but now they're literally to the point where it's a lower gravity hack. So they're literally tweaking upon the actual physics of the game. So they're taking that shit to a whole nother level. Whole nother level, bro. Still a little 125 difficulty. Giggity. So that's kind of why I haven't been, playing a bunch of multiplayer on MXM right now and doing all that. So the game is still fun in single player, but just saying, if you go into any multiplayer server on MXM, not even just a pro race server, but any server, you're going to have somebody that's running a hack. At least one or two, maybe even 3 or 4 people. Every single time you join a server, somebody's running something, right? And in the pro racing, you're going to have a handful of people key sharing in every single race, a handful of people running some kind of a hack in every single race. So it gets kind of to that point where it starts to feel pointless. It's like, okay, if I'm racing legit and everybody and their grandmother is key sharing or running some kind of a hack, then what is the point anymore? It kind of loses that integrity. It loses that meaning behind it. So that's personally what's kind of slowed my vibe down on MXM right now. I mean, I'm always going to play that game in single player, and obviously started my channel with, making custom tracks on the game, and I still love to do that. I still love making custom tracks and going in there and trying to figure out cool different designs, and it's still an amazing game at the core of it. MXM is still an amazing physics, motocross game. It's unmatched. It's incredible. But there's so many other issues going on within the multiplayer side of the game and the pro racing side of the game that it is certainly dragging down the game right now. I mean, there is no question in that, man. So, but that's kind of the problems you start to run into when you get a game from 2007 that was made by one guy with no anti-cheat, right? It's kind of like MX Simulator is too good for its own good. So then it all depends on how the community is at that point. How toxic, how young, how immature, how is the community, because that's going to depict on how many people are going to try to cheat, hack, scam, key share. So it's getting to that point where the community cares more about that than they do actually racing legit and trying to race fair and all that. So it's heavily based off of how the community is at that current point in time. That really depicts how a game like MX Simulator's multiplayer experience is going to be. Oh my God, we're Big Daddy vibing. What the hell? How did I just wreck right there? I don't even know how I just went down, but okay. On a cool little snow vibe track. Oh man. But yeah, to some of you boys that are playing MXM and you don't think that there's hacks in the game, or you don't think there's people running hacks, or you think everything's like super professional in the pro racing, you are sorely mistaken, my dude. You just don't even understand it yet, man. Well, you will eventually figure it out. If you stay in the pro racing long enough, you're involved in the community of MX Simulator long enough, you will start to figure out how that shit really is. But it is so political, it is so corrupt, it is so jacked up. It just really is. And I don't know how they're going to save it at this point. I don't know. But we'll see. We shall see. And, some of you guys might be asking the question of like, well, wasn't there hacks in the game back when it was so amazing? Like back before RF shut down in 2018 or whatever? Wasn't there hacks and key sharing back then? I mean, yeah, there was, but it was nowhere even near the level that it is now, right? Like back in those days, pre-2018, before RF shut down the first time, it was fucking rare to hear about somebody getting caught key sharing or somebody getting caught running some kind of hack. I mean, that was super rare. I don't remember ever hearing about somebody running a hack pre-2018 on MX Simulator. I literally cannot remember a single time. I remember like just a couple of people getting caught key sharing, literally like 2 people in 3 or 4 years worth of time. But nowadays, it's every week. Oh, okay, now there's these kind of hacks. Okay, now there's lower gravity hacks. Okay, now this guy and every person on his team's been caught key sharing, and then his buddy got caught key sharing, and then the buddy of his buddy's now been caught key sharing, and then this dude in the top 5 has been caught key sharing. I mean, it's on another level now. You know, that's kind of the point too. That's what I was saying about the community, right? How the community is really depicts, and that's going to really depict on how MX Bikes' multiplayer and pro racing goes. It's how the community wants to treat it, you know, and how much the officials of the pro racing want to actually, you know, proactively try to prevent you from running hacks and permabanning you for key sharing and all that stuff. It's going to make a big difference on MX Bikes, you know, multiplayer when that really starts to take off. We'll see how they can do it all, but the good old bar and easy bar squeezy out here. Sup, bro? So, yeah. It'd be like if you tried to run like a full-blown pro racing series on Untamed's any-cheat level, you know, gameplay engine nowadays. That'd be about the same difference as what they're doing with MX Simulator right now. Like, do you really think it'd be that hard to hack a game like Untamed, a game from 2007? I mean, good God, all you got to do is go look at, like, you know, the hacks in Call of Duty World at War and Modern Warfare 2, and it's no mistake that the older the game gets, the easier and the easier it gets to run a hack in it, you know? And MX Simulator's just starting to get to that point now where you can hack every single aspect of the game. Acceleration, no fall, you know, lower gravity. I mean, there's no telling. There is no telling what all they've been able to hack on MX Sim. There's no telling at this point. But it's endless now. Endless, bro. Okay, so, dude, I'm just loving these little Waypoint tracks. Like, that's badass. It kind of gives you like a raceable version of the free ride track, you know? Find that to be really cool. 100%, 5 opponents. Let's get it. Yeah, there's a lot of people that still just don't understand the hacks on MX Simulator. They don't even believe that that's even really a thing. But you got to understand how many people would want to run a hack for the clout. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that would do that. So there's a lot of a reason to do it, and then there's not anything that's really preventing you from doing it, right? It just becomes a matter of how much you're going to basically tweak upon the hack to not make it look obvious, right? And it's not like a first-person shooter where just about everybody can tell when somebody's hacking in a first-person shooter, you know? They're going to be snapping onto you. They're going to be seeing you through a wall. I mean, it's pretty easy to tell when somebody's hacking on a damn first-person shooter, but like with MX Simulator, there's such a skill gap to the game. A lot of people can mistake somebody, you know, running a hack. They can mistake that for them just being really fast in the game, or them just being on a whole nother level of skill than them in the game. So they don't really understand as easily. It's not as apparent. It's not as obvious on MX Sim when somebody is running a hack or not running a hack because of the skill gap range of the game, right? So that certainly plays a part into it. Holy shit, that was a big jump. God bless. That might be one of the biggest jumps I've ever hit in this entire game. Like the most airtime I've ever gotten in this entire game right there. That was no joke, man. Oh my God, this RMZ about to take me out. I'm just saying, you know, if you want to still multiplayer race on MXM and you still want to pro race on MXM, that's cool. But you just need to be in understanding. You need to be realizing what you're racing against, what you're racing with, you know? And if you accept that a handful of people are running hacks and a handful of people are key sharing in every single race that you run in, then go for it, you know? Pay your real life money. Put all that time in. If you're okay with that, that's fine, but it's kind of one of those things. The more you realize, the more you figure out, the less and less you really want to do it. Yeah, so I will be checking out MX Bikes Beta 15 Pronto ASAP Rocky. We got a video coming out on that tomorrow. I will be streaming that really soon. Yes, I am aware that Beta 15 is out. I took a quick glance at the patch notes. Haven't really looked super deep into it, but we'll be on that soon, boys. We'll be on that shit soon. Don't you worry about that. Oh, got a little... Oh, there we go. Perfect landing right there. Hell yeah. You gotta love when you jump in the air going about 75,000 miles an hour. You hit the biggest booter of your entire life. And then there's like this perfect landing that just appears out of nowhere. Perfect little landing. It's like, you know, on a super flat plane, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to pop off. All of a sudden, you see this perfect little landing that's just perfectly lined up with your trajectory and your speed. It's like, oh, that's nice. That's fun. Dude, I don't even know about this jump. God bless America. Oh my God. That jump right there is the definition of Big T sipping, Big T dripping right there. Holy shit. That jump ain't no joke, dudes and dudeskies. Shit ain't no joke. So, that's the cool thing about this Waypoint series is it kind of guides you through some really cool jump... What the fuck? Kind of guides you through some really cool jump areas and rhythms and things on some of these free ride tracks that you might not necessarily would have just seen right away. Like just free riding on it in general. I gotta sip some tea. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. Boys, I appreciate all the support on these streams. This shit's been awesome, dude. I've been having the best time ever doing these streams, man. We're gonna keep it going, boys. We're gonna keep it going. We got a lot more different kind of streams coming up soon. Obviously, checking out MX Bikes Beta 15. Got a lot more cool multiplayer racing streams on that. I'm going to download some more tracks on that as well. Have a good time with that. A couple things I want to do there. Obviously, once I get all of my older MX Simulator tracks optimized and the new versions put out on those, I'll be doing MX Simulator multiplayer on my custom tracks streams. Okay, just getting some of those older tracks fixed up, getting them raceable, getting the timing gates fixed, getting tough blocks fixed and shit like that. So we got a lot of stuff in the works right now, but we'll be getting that done soon. Oh my God, that's got to be one of the biggest jumps in this entire game, dude. Oh my God. Got just enough of a landing right there, too. Holy crap, that's a big jump. That's pretty cool, though, dude. Man, you can create a lot of different kind of, you know, track design potentials with a Waypoint racing mode. You really can. You know, you can kind of create enduro tracks with the Waypoint mode. You can create these, like, free ride, freestyle racing track type tracks with a Waypoint mode. You can do a lot of stuff with it. So that's pretty cool. I certainly want to get into the custom track making of this game on the PC at some point. It's always been something I wanted to kind of look into. That would be really cool. I have made like a little Mars free ride track in this game on PC. I don't think I ever publicly released it, but I got in there and just kind of jacked around with some of the lighting and settings and kind of made a cool little Mars space vibe thing on there. So you can definitely do some cool stuff with the track editor of this game on PC. There's definitely a lot of potential there for, you know, cool tracks and stuff, but we'll see what we can do with it. So in a way, this game's content is pretty much endless because you can make anything on the PC. You can make any kind of motocross track, any kind of supercross track, any kind of free ride track. Could you imagine if you made like replica, like modern day, you know, replica national and replica supercross tracks on the PC version of this game? Somebody needs to do that. That would be so badass. Can you imagine riding on like 2020 Anaheim 1 in MX versus ATV Unleashed on PC? Like, good God. Or riding on like Redbud, 2020 Redbud on MX versus ATV Unleashed. So, you know, a lot of people always talk about making like replica versions of the tracks in this game on like the PC version of Reflex or, you know, MX Sim or whatever, like making older track replicas of older motocross games tracks, but you can almost do the reverse of that where you make newer tracks in older games. I think a lot of people haven't even really necessarily thought about that, but, you know, the Spency boys got all the ideas in the absolute world. So that's just another one of those kind of things they could do. You know, it'd be really cool. All right, boys, that's about it for this stream. I just wanted to come in here real quick, have a little fun today. We'll be back really soon. We'll be making a vid on the MX Bikes Beta 15 pronto ASAP. Appreciate you guys tuning in again. Appreciate all that support. We'll be back at it soon, boys. Later, dudes.